Welcome back to DAGryffyn Hobby. My name's Dave. It's time for another update on what's been happening here in the train room. It's been a busy summer, so I have to be honest and say I really haven't gotten as much done as I would have liked. But all things considered, I have made progress, and I'm pretty darn happy with it too. So let's see how the layout's looking and what projects I've been working on. This spot here on the outer edge of the track by the station, I had initially built a platform that would have served as an extension of the train station. And I just really didn't like the look of it. I really enjoyed using the fake Lego bricks to do the station area, but I didn't want them on the outside of the layout where they'd be so visible. So in the space that I had put that platform, I did this little parking area. It's a piece of foam core. It's either black foam core or I painted it black, I'm not sure which. And I used a thin pink foam to create this wall. To create the wall, I used a straight edge and just scored lines across the length of it, as close to evenly spaced as I could eyeball. I really didn't care if they were equal or not, but I wanted essentially rectangular shaped stones or blocks. So I scored the horizontal lines, and then I alternated the vertical lines. I would do one row, skip a row, one row, skip a row, so that I was doing the same line all the way up. And I did those lines all the way across and then did the rows that I missed. There are some places where the foam just came apart as I was carving it. Spots like this where some of the foam started to break apart when I was cutting it. And I just kind of dug into those a little bit more and made them just damaged sections of the wall. This over here, I just wanted to look like a big crack in the wall. So I kind of gouged out a bunch of the foam and then painted it a dark color. And I've got some ground cover coming over the top of the wall and growing here on the bottom. And then in this corner, I've got some ground cover kind of over the top of the wall and just a bunch of dead grass and leaves and whatnot there in the corner. And I have to say, for a project that I kind of just threw together, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I had stalled on working on the station platform because I just didn't like the way it was sitting. The foam is not really consistently smooth, so this whole platform would sag here by the water tower. And it was just bothering me, and I just couldn't commit to it. Another issue is it was very hard to deal with the lighting. These lamps that I picked up have very fine wires, and they're only so long, so it's a little difficult to run them all to where I need them to be and have the platform sitting right on a piece of foam. So what I did was I used the fake Lego sheets as a base, built the wall up, and then the platform on top of that. So the entire platform, I have a hollow space to run wires. And that should make it a lot easier to get the lights installed and also maintain them if I have issues down the line. It has been sitting like this for a while because after I did this structure for the platform, I really haven't felt the inspiration to go back and wire everything. The parking lot's pretty much the same. I placed a billboard here at the back of it. I think it's just a nice touch to that space, and all the trains I've run past it have cleared the billboard at this point. Something I thought of doing was maybe putting a couple of holes in the top of the base and putting a couple of LEDs in there so that the billboard would be lit. This is something that just happened in the last day or two, and I'm conflicted. This is just a test to see how these Menards switches work and if I like them enough to try to incorporate them into the layout. I have to say I'm pretty happy with the amount of green in the shot right here. There are no special techniques here. I just kind of layered up colors and textures until I had something that I liked. There are a number of spots that have stone piles, and those are real stone fragments that well, honestly, I don't know where some of them came from, but the rest I kind of swept up out of a parking lot and just used some small pieces to fill in some gaps and holes that otherwise were too big to fill with ground cover. I used a variety of ground cover, basically whatever it was that I had on hand. So there's some variation that I'm not thrilled with. There's some kind of color changes that I wish were a little more consistent, some texture changes. But this is also really the first section that I really started trying to really add some texture. And then of course I ran out of the materials I was using, so that's why the outer edge here is more of just a smooth grass, and this is a lot more, I don't know, a lot of undergrowth and whatnot. Just at this point trying different things and seeing what I like. Different colors and different textures, and I layer it up. What I do is I put down some glue, I sprinkle some ground cover. When it's a decent thickness, I'll saturate it with some rubbing alcohol, and then put more glue over the top of it and add another layer. And I'll just kind of layer it up until it looks like I've covered all the glue and I have enough texture to the point that I'm pretty happy with the way it looks. I am happy with the way it turned out. It's just I'm stuck in a point now where I don't have the materials that I was using here to finish this side. So I'm not sure what I'll be doing with this, but I wanted to get green on it just enough so that I could actually ballast to this track without it being a problem. And check this out. Ballast on my railroad. It's amazing. I'm using a combination of Woodland Scenics coarse ballast, which I put down first, and then Brennan's Better Ballast, which is real stone and has a better color variation to it. And I lay that over the top of the Woodland Scenics coarse ballast. It is a little crazy to me that this is my layout right here. Lots of green, ballast, ties in the track. It's something. It's really quite exciting. Spots like this section here, I just kind of keep layering the ground cover until I attain a look that I like. I'm still not thrilled with this spot. I'm not really sure what I want it to look like. I just know that it's not quite there yet. This is a whole lot of lichen, ground foam, different coarse turfs over the top of it, and I'll just keep playing with it until it looks the way I want it to look. I used some of the Woodland Scenics ballast here to create a little bit of a little talus slope, or maybe a pile of old ballast that was put to the side. I'm pretty happy with this spot here. This is my first kind of permanently installed building that's also wired for lights. Got lights up top, lights in the bottom, and I think 3 people inside up top. I did some basic low skill weathering on the building just to kind of make it a little dirty and to kind of cover up the Strasbourg a little bit, because I'm not modeling Strasbourg, but I like the tower. I didn't want to, you know, put a sign over Strasbourg, but I didn't want it to jump out at you either. I did another wall here like I did over by the parking lot for the station. I needed to have as much space for the building as possible so that the trains would clear it. So I cut the foam back as far as I could by the inner loop, and then built this wall here, again out of the foam. I tried a different method of painting it. This one has a little bit of white in between some of the bricks. The bricks are also a different shape. They're more square on this wall. That was just done for variety. But I was trying to do some sort of a mortar, so I painted the whole thing white first, and then tried to just put the color over the surface of the foam so that it wouldn't fill in all the mortar. But there's not as much white there as I had planned, but really it kind of just looks like a dirty old wall, so I'm pretty happy with it. And I didn't think I'd be able to do something like this, so I'm pretty thrilled with the results. I've got some growth coming over the top of the wall and down to the bottom there, just to add some interest. When I ballast up here, I'll probably have some coming down this little hill here. Right now there's just a little bit of the Woodland Scenics coarse and fine ballast, but it needs more work there. I wanted a little access road to the tower, so I put down a piece of thin foam and painted it, and then covered the whole surface with glue. And what did I use? That must be the Woodland Scenics fine ballast that I used for that, and then I kind of just mixed in some of the larger ballast just for variety. I'm having a memory problem at the moment. I feel like I put down the ballast for the surface and then put a very light wash of dark colors of paint over it. But honestly, at the moment, I really can't remember. But I like the way it turned out, so hopefully I can figure out what it is I did. As far as the crossing over the track, at the moment, it's just a piece of soft gray foam. That's the same stuff that I'm using as the roadbed, just a different color. The nice thing about the foam, if the flanges from the train wheels hit it, they kind of just push it down a little bit. So I haven't had an issue with those derailing anything. Of course, as I say that, I'm thinking the Marks trains probably aren't going to like it very much. But you know what? They don't mind it. It works just fine, actually. On a side note, the Marks trains do not work with the Menards switches. Definitely not a chance. So as I'm here looking at this and going over it, it's not as much ground cover as I would like, but it's also more than I would have expected, actually, based on the amount of time that I've been out here. Yes, there's plenty of layout to go, but I've been really enjoying the process, so if it takes a while, I don't mind. And the fact that any of it is green and textured is just so exciting to me that I think I will, at least hopefully, stay inspired to work on it. At the moment, I'm thinking when it comes time for York next month, I might just be looking for ground cover because I need a variety. I think that's the key to any landscape to make it look any sort of semblance of realistic is just variety. If all the green were the same green, I think it would look silly, or at least not the way I want it. So I'm going to try to continue to use varieties of different colors and textures, and I'm not going for realism as much as I am going for texture and visual interest. This is a toy train realistic layout as opposed to an actual scale realistic layout. So things don't have to be scale, they don't have to be realistic, but I want it to be realistic enough that it's not just straight up a toy layout. So, whatever, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, and as long as I continue having fun doing it, I'm going to keep doing it. I've got a couple different spots in this layout that will present different challenges, and I'm really looking forward to working on them. I have some ideas. What I need is time and energy and supplies and money. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time on DAGryffyn Hobby.